What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about, finally, treasure map Blackbeard. So as of this video going out, it actually will be debuting tomorrow, so make sure to get your teams ready to go against this treasure map. So of course, in this video today, we're not only going to be talking about all of the bosses and some recommended units and teams, but also we'll talk about the character as well and discuss how good is he worth farming. Well, it goes without saying, with every treasure map character, you should probably max them out. They're going to be useful in future events, of course, but this Blackbeard's actually very, very good. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So first of all, let's discuss the brand new character, Treasure Map Blackbeard, who is an int-driven powerhouse character. At max level, level 99, you can see he's got reasonable stats, 60 cost, and 5 socket spots, of course, once you fully max his limit break. His captain ability, fully max limit break, will increase your damage received by 1.25 times. I'm never a big fan of that, however, the rest of his effects are crazy. He gives int characters 4 times attack, and whenever your crew gets special rewinded, he resists it by 2 turns for your entire team. This is a very, very unique mechanic and will be quite interesting moving forward. Of course, we have Stampede Luffy, who already does an innate ability or innate, debuff immunity with his captain ability, and now we have Blackbeard, who does a similar sort of thing. And actually, interestingly enough, the Halloween Ace that will be debuting on Global likely within the next couple of months has a very similar captain ability to this, where he does resist special rewind. So this character as a captain is very usable in a lot of content, probably not high difficulty content like GARP challenges or training forests, I would say, but overall a pretty good captain ability for a treasure map character. Now his special ability is also very good, so it will max down all the way to 12 turns, and it says for int characters it gives them a 2 times attack boost and a 2 times orb boost when you use his special, so that's already fantastic. He also reduces their cooldowns by 1 turn, and he will make block orbs and badly matching orbs counted as neutral for 1 turn. They basically are considered as neutral orbs. And a very interesting mechanic about his special ability, very similar to Shanks and Ben Beckman, there's like a condition when you use the special, meaning that, with Shanks and Ben Beckman, they're the only special you can use during that turn. For Blackbeard, his condition effect says that you can only use one other special in the same turn of when you use Blackbeard. So if you use one other special, you can still use Blackbeard, but if you use more than one special and then try to activate Blackbeard, it will not work. And then when you use Blackbeard, of course, there will be a special limiter where you can only use one other special with him. I believe that's how it works, if I've read it up correctly. So Treasure Map Blackbeard is definitely a character you want to max out. Very, very good for int teams, and he's going to be good for future content moving forward. So of course, this treasure map does have an intrusion battle, so we'll talk about the Intrusion Boss first, and the boss for this specific treasure map is going to be Akainu. Now Akainu on stage 2 has 540,000 HP, and his preemptive attack will give himself 2 turns of damage threshold, and he applies 5 turns of burn to your entire team. The burn isn't that significant though, it is 3,000 damage per perfect, and of course with treasure map, the fact you're going to be getting an additional health pool is going to be quite useful. However, he does cut your health in half as well, which means that if you are hitting perfects while having half health, that could be quite troublesome to deal with. So having someone to remove that burn will be quite good, or what you can do is just hit goods or greats while you're bursting him to avoid the burn damage. And then moving forward into stage 3, Akainu starts off with 1.6 million HP and obviously gains 160,000 per nav level. His preemptive attack has a 98 turn delay immunity, so you can still poison him and you can still reduce his defense. With his preemptive attack as well, he also will change all of your slots into block orbs, so you definitely want a character that can change those into beneficial for your team. And after turn 3, he applies 3 more turns of burn to your team. Below 50%, he will give you a full board of strength orbs, and he's also going to count them as badly matching for 3 turns. And below 20%, he does give himself 5 turns of damage immunity, and 5 turns of increased damage taken is inflicted to your team. So in terms of recommended team composition that I've suggested here, this is a full simple free-to-play team that you can build, utilizing Raid Ace as the captain. Unfortunately, on global, he's only a 1.2 times point booster. When this came out on Japan, Raid Ace was a new character at the time, and he was a 1.35 point booster instead. Would have preferred that, but it is what it is. Obviously, utilizing the friend captain 6+ Whitebeard is going to be the most ideal situation here, as he is just the most ideal character for this fight. So with this team, basically you're using Morley on stage 2 to remove the threshold, and you're using Sabo on stage 2 to remove the burn, because you are getting your health reduced by 50%, and it means that, you don't really want to die by that. So removing the burn is just the most ideal case. If you are running double Whitebeard, you can use one of the Whitebeard specials to remove 4 turns of that burn, which would be pretty good. And then basically with this team, you can use every other special on the final boss stage in order to take down Akainu, as Raid Ace is very good for this final fight, as he does change block orbs into matching, as well as providing an orb boost for your team. So if you have Raid Ace, I would suggest putting him on your Akainu team to make your fight a little bit easier. So the first of these Battle Rush bosses that we're going to talk about is the Pacifist stage. So the Pacifists are interesting. They all have the same amount of HP, and there's just 3 of them, and they each have 120,000 at nav level 1, and they really are quite straightforward. All they do is give you 3 turns of special bind, so obviously you bring a character to remove that, and they change all of your crew slots into badly matching, so giving you some sort of ability to change those into matching, or some sort of ability just to give you some beneficial slots. That's going to be your best way around this. So a free-to-play team that I've suggested, quite simply, is just a slasher-based team, just because the Colosseum lore is boosted this time around, and not only does he remove the special bind that's inflicted to your team, but he's also an attack booster for Slasher and Cerebral, so he's like the perfect unit to bring here. So if you have other units that can kind of work around that Trafalgar lore, that's what I would suggest. If you have that treasure map Nami, she's a great captain, as she changes badly matching orbs into matching. So that's probably a really good way to utilize this team. The thing is, I am suggesting treasure map Nami in another teams later on, so you definitely will be seeing that. But yeah, basically you've got Trafalgar lore for the special bind removal and the attack boost. Smoothie not only gives you color affinity, but can also give you some beneficial slots. I don't remember which colored orbs she makes beneficial, but she does make a bunch of orbs beneficial, so you can bring characters to fulfill that, which is quite good. So as long as you are removing the special bind, the rest of the team is pretty straightforward. So the next of these bosses is going to be Doc Q. Doc Q has 500,000 hit points at the start of the fight. He will give your crew 3 turns of attack down, and he changes all of your orbs into either block orbs or tandem orbs. So again, you need to have someone to manipulate your orbs on this stage, and removing the attack down obviously is going to be quite important. After the first turn, he will poison your crew for 12,000 damage per turn. So yeah, you don't really want to be dealing with that. It is quite a hefty poison. And the thing about it is that when you kill Doc Q, he will revive with 5,000 HP, and he gives himself 2 turns of defense up. So quite annoying, the fact that he revives, but there are plenty of characters you could use to just deal with this. But in terms of the free-to-play team that I've suggested here, it does utilize the brand newly released treasure map Blackbeard as a captain, because he is a 1.35 times point booster, and the rest of the characters just work really well with him. So the way that this team would work is that you've got pudding to remove the block orbs. They change them into matching, as well as applying a 2.5 times boost, which is very good. And then, with that, you can apply the Blackbeard special if you really want to, or you could stall, just depending on what type of situation you're in, because you can use Donald Moderate to remove the attack down that gets inflicted to your team. So with this team, you will have to stall, because remember, you cannot use more than one special with Blackbeard in the same turn. So you will have to stall at least 1 turn, but it's not really a big deal. You won't be taking too much damage anyway. And also, the thing that you can deal with this is you can use Shiryu after the revive to just completely destroy Doc Q, no matter what. You will kill him with the Shiryu special, because if you guys don't remember, Shiryu instantly defeats characters that have less than a certain multiplier times his attack, and because he has only 5,000 HP, then Shiryu is always going to KO him. So that's what I would suggest for the fight against Doc Q. The next Battle Rush boss is against Burgess. He has 550,000 HP, and he starts off as a strength character, but you'll see with his preemptive attack, he does change typing into a quick unit, which is quite odd. He applies 3 turns of paralysis to your team, he makes your top row orbs empty orbs, and he will lock your orbs for 2 turns. And you can see he also has a 1-turn barrier where you have to use a strength orb to break that barrier. And after turn 3, if he's still alive, he's going to blow away your middle row for 3 turns. So you definitely want to make sure you're killing him before that happens. As for the free-to-play team that I've suggested here, it utilizes a cerebral-based team. So with this team, the most important character here is Treasure Map Shanks. If you have Treasure Map Shanks, you need him for this fight because he removes the barrier number 1, but also will shuffle your orbs to give you a higher chance to get some beneficial slots, which is great. He gives you tap timing bonus on top of that. And then you need another character to remove the 3 turns of paralysis that gets inflicted to your team. In this circumstance, I've used Treasure Map Nami, but if you have a better paralysis remover, you can do that, and you can run Nami as the captain on the other team that I mentioned previously. So that's another really good way that you could utilize some, having more variety of characters. And then after that, you just need damage boosters. So I'm using Treasure Map Saba here as the captain because he's a really good cerebral captain, and he's a conditional booster as well, which you can use against Jesus Burgess. You've got Caesar for the orb boost. You can get a better captain ability if you end up using the crocodile to switch into the captain spot. It really just does depend on what type of characters you have, but making sure to use Treasure Map Shanks and have a paralysis remover is going to be your best fight in taking down Jesus Burgess effectively. So the final of these Battle Rush bosses is Dorothy. Now Dorothy is actually pretty straightforward because he legitimately doesn't do anything. There's no debuffs you have to get around on this fight, which makes it a lot easier. But the one on the left will actually have more HP than the one on the right, so he will be gaining more HP more quickly over time. So just putting that into perspective for you guys. Now, the preemptive attack, as I said, there's no debuffs you have to get around. They just cut your health in half, and they apply immunity buff to themselves, and that's it. Below 20%, both of them will do this. They'll basically do 1 million damage to your team, so be careful about that. Make sure to not get them below that health threshold. But the team that I've suggested is essentially just running a full strength team. Now, I would suggest running Lucci as the captain from the Stampede raid, as he is a rainbow captain and is a higher point booster. So just running those two guys as the captain, and then run a bunch of strength units as your supporting units down the bottom is what I would suggest. And then essentially just use Big Mom's special on the final boss fight, and make sure to stack Lucci's captain effect correctly. He's got a very similar captain ability to version 1 Legend Kuzan, where every time you kill something, his attack boost will get stacked up, and make sure to just continuously kill stuff every single turn in order to maintain his 3.25 times captain ability, and with that, you're not really going to be having any issues whatsoever with this fight. So this is the team that I would suggest if you are a free-to-play player. So now we make it to the final boss against Blackbeard. Blackbeard on stage 6 will have 560,000 hit points, and his preemptive will apply 6 turns of Despair and 6 turns of Bind to your middle row. So make sure your Bind remover is not in that middle row, and he has a type changing mechanic, so depending on what your captain's type is, he will change his own color. So if your captain is a strength character, he becomes Dex. If your captain is Dex, he will become Quick, and if you have a Quick captain, he becomes Strength. So he basically will be a type advantage to whatever your captain is, which is good. It makes it a lot easier for running through this content. Now, after turn 4, he will apply 2 turns of paralysis to your team, and he does that every 2 turns afterwards. So ideally, just make sure you're killing him before turn 4 activates, so it's pretty straightforward. And now moving on to the final fight, stage 7 against Blackbeard. He has 1.4 million HP this time. His preemptive will have 99 turns of full immunity, and he will give you 10 turns of despair to your friend captain. So this is where Stampede Luffy is going to be quite good, and he does shine quite a lot here, as he can avoid despair on stage 6 and stage 7. But of course, if you have both, Whitebeards, if you're running double Whitebeard as the captain, both of their special abilities are able to remove the burn, which is, or the despair, my bad, which is quite good. So that's not really too much of an issue. Also, he has the same type changing mechanic as the stage 6 Blackbeard, which again makes it very, very easy for running this content. After turn 1, he does apply an enrage to himself, and he removes all of your beneficial effects, and below 50%, he does apply 10 turns of special bind to your team as well, and below 20%, he does like a lot of damage to your team. So just, be wary of that. So the free-to-play team that I've suggested here, of course, because of all of the despair that gets inflicted to you, I would suggest running a Stampede Luffy friend captain. It just makes it a lot easier rather than running a bunch of despair reducers, just to run Stampede Luffy as the friend captain here. And then as for the main captain, because he works so well with him, Stampede Raid Sabo, it's a given. It's just super duper easy at that point. And then the Colosseum Rayleigh as a sub here, make sure he's on your bottom row, as he can remove the despair that gets inflicted on stage 6. And then as for the rest of the units, you can just use them on the final boss fight to deal a bunch of damage towards Blackbeard, and you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. Now you can see below there are some other characters that you could use to remove Bind and Despair on stage 6. Remember, if you have a character that removes Bind and Despair, you could use someone like the Whitey Bay support who supports slasher characters, so you could put it on Treasure Map Law or that Fortnite Shanks to remove even more turns of Bind and Despair. So if you have that Whitey Bay at max support level, make sure to run that on the character if they don't remove up to 3 turns of Bind and Despair already. So now that we've completed this, let's go ahead and give a quick rundown once again to all of the teams that I've suggested in this video today. So Akainu, the Intrusion fight, utilizing a 6+ Whitebeard friend captain with Raider Ace as the main captain, works very, very well with the rest of the characters on the team. You've got Morley to remove Threshold on stage 2, and you've got the Sabo also to remove the Burn on stage 2 as well, which is going to be quite important. And other than that, the rest of the characters are all just damage dealing characters that you can use on stage 3. As for the Pacifist stage, one of the first Battle Rush stages, you've got the Trafalgar Law Coliseum character to remove the special bind, as well as applying an attack boost to your team. So building a team around Trafalgar Law is probably what I would suggest, as he just works perfectly against this fight. So some other characters you could use is like the Treasure Map Nami as a captain to make those badly matching orbs into matching, or if you have a beneficial orb enabler, that would also be a really good option there as well. Against .Q, we're using a full int team with the Treasure Map Blackbeard as a main captain, and the thing to note here is that you do get given attack down, and your orbs are changed into either block or tandem, and at this point you can just use the pudding to make the block orbs into matching. You can use the Donald Moderate to change your attack down to get rid of it, and then the turn after you can use the Blackbeard to just completely annihilate the .Q, and then after the revive, he does revive, remember, he has really low HP, so you can just use the Shiryu special to completely kill him off. Against Jesus Burgess, remember he does have that really annoying barrier. To remove that, you can use the Shank special, as well as giving you a higher chance for beneficial slots and tap timing bonus. And then he does give you the 3 turns of paralysis as well, so you can use the Treasure Map Nami or any other paralysis reducer that you have against the Jesus Burgess fight to make your fight a lot easier. And then building your team around those characters. Those 2 characters are cerebral, so you can just run a bunch of cerebral units, and that works very, very well against Burgess. And then against the final Battle Rush stage against Dorothy, you've got just a full strength team. Remember, there is no debuffs you have to get around on that stage. You just have to deal as much damage as possible. So running a full strength team with double Lucci is what I would suggest for the most points effectively. Works very, very well. And then against the final boss Blackbeard, which we had just discussed, Stampede Luffy is a fantastic captain to use here. He has type advantage, as well as the fact that he is just great at removing Despair on stage 6 and stage 7. And then you've got also just the Rayleigh to remove the bind on stage 6, and the rest of the characters are just damage dealing units that you can run against the stage 7 final boss fight. So that is going to wrap up this video today, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Remember, these videos do take quite a long time to put together. I really wish I was able to get this one out earlier, but of course, was extremely busy doing other stuff. So hopefully you guys do understand and still did enjoy this video today. And if you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and hit the like button down below. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.